In this video, I'm going to talk about some past relationships that I've had, friendships. I don't know, maybe they're one-sided, or I think that sometimes people do the best that they can, but there's certainly divides up between them and us, the people in the club and the people not in the club. I don't think that they're able to have a normal, healthy relationship with non-club members. And it's wild how none of them dissent, how none of them say, yeah, I used to be a part of this stupid thing with the orange and the 33. I've never ever heard any of them. Oh yeah, I got sick and tired one day of doing hand signs, and so I just started telling people about it because I thought it was really childish to have these. I've never, not once, have I heard anyone come clean like that. And they're just fundamentally different. I don't know, because I stopped trying to rationalize the way that these people act, because I can't rationalize it. And I figured their mind just must work in ways that doesn't make sense to me, or they have some sort of spiritual sickness that doesn't let them see how childish their ways are and how it's not good. But anyways, this video is about that divide between us and them, and you'll feel it, certainly, if you're ever in a relationship with these people. They are also very manipulative and love to tear down other people and make other people question their sanity and have lower self-esteem. Okay, Barbara Bush. The reason I have this up here is because I was just, one of my hobbies is like old school gaming. And so I play a lot of old games that I used to play when I was growing up. And I'll play on like fringe servers, really small time stuff. Some bigger time stuff too, but every once in a while I just have fun with it, and I'll talk about conspiracy type stuff over the chat. And it's always wild, the responses that you get, and it reminds me that these people are everywhere, and that everybody will know people that know about this stuff, but they've never told you about it. Your whole life they've kept you in the dark. They've treated you differently because you're not one of them. And these people treat you differently because of the way that you're born. And that's sick, because they're the ones that try to push like all shapes and sizes, and everybody's different, but at the same time they only really push certain images. They claim that everybody's different, but they just omit certain key demographics. Right? Everybody's different as long as you're different in a certain way. What's being different these days? To be different, you gotta dye your hair blue and get piercings all over your face and tattoo yourself like crazy. Everybody's different in the same way. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, so doing something very fringe today. Less than 50 people have access at the time that I'm here speaking, and I just make an offhand comment about. I think I said, I'm paraphrasing. I said anybody that denies Barbara Bush is a man is a liar. And I just said it out of nowhere, just in a chat that anybody playing the game could see. And I don't know, I guess part of me is a little bit of me is an instigator and a troll, and I like to have fun with stuff. I don't try to take stuff too seriously. But anyways, it is hilarious. Instantly, I got a message from a moderator. Oh, please don't talk like that over, we don't talk like that over global. These people have friends everywhere. In the most obscure corners of the internet, you will find people defending these inverted people. And birds of a feather flock together. They share the same secret. I mean, that's basically it. It's what do you call it? The lady doth protest too much situation. The people that get so angry about you pointing out obvious trans features, obvious people that don't look the gender that they're presenting, the people that screech the loudest, there's a reason that they're screeching the loudest at you pointing out the obvious. And they're trying to gaslight everybody. These people are in your family. That's going to be a future video. Somebody has requested I talk about waking up, and one of the biggest parts about waking up is that these people are going to come out of the woodworks to try to gaslight you. oh well, I'm a guy. I don't have an Adam's apple. Am I trans? There, yeah, you're gonna get a lot of flack when you're waking up, and especially if you try to wake up people in your life. Guess what? They probably already know. You're probably the last duped person sitting there playing the game of spoons, waiting to notice everybody else already knew. Duh, this is a dude. Where have you been? Okay, so I'm going to get into what this video is actually about, talking about friends, what it's like to have a bapho as a friend, quote unquote friend. Can they actually be your friend? I don't know, it's up for debate. They have different, that is a really obvious one. Do you find yourself in a position where throughout your life you've had who you thought were really good friends and you put effort into being a good friend to them? You never really feel like it's reciprocated back all the way, but that's okay. I don't need to get out the same that I put into a relationship in order to value somebody as a friend. But more often than not, you'll see yourself on the side of, wow, I have to put a lot more effort into this relationship than the other person's willing to put in. And at the same time, more importantly, they have a bunch of other groups of friends that I don't ever really see or interact with, and it seems different with them. This happens a lot, compartmentalized relationships with these baphos. You'll have a pretty good one-on-one relationship with them, but then they have a whole group of friends with a group dynamic, and you're just off to the side. It's kind of strange, but I don't like groups of people. I don't know how much of this is trained in either. How many of us have these antisocial behaviors or preferences for small groups because we are ostracized when we are in larger groups? So why would we want to do that if it inflicts pain on us? We've been burned enough. We've been the odd man out and been mocked and ridiculed just for being ourselves, or had our bodies made fun of just for the way that we're born by large groups of people. And why would we want to subject ourselves to that? Anyways, it's a chicken or the egg situation, though, sometimes, where it's like, yeah, I'm extremely introverted, but is that really how I'm supposed to be? I don't know. Okay, so why do I have these recording devices here? I talked in another video about knowing these super bapho families or super Masonic families that just act in a certain way that makes it abundantly clear that they know extra information about how this world works. And one of those people, the guy who was my friend, but of course he had his other friend group that he would always hang out with. I never got invited to hang out with that friend group ever. Very compartmentalized relationship with this person. And he would perform psyops on me or try to get information on me, and then they talk behind your back. So we were in the car one day just driving. We were old, college age. These people arrested development big time. College age, driving around, and I notice him in the passenger seat next to me fiddling with his phone and then setting the phone very purposefully in the center console area. So the phone was sitting. These people, they're not very intelligent. They're so obvious a lot of times. By this point, I had already figured out that this friend of mine was not to be trusted. I knew he was a habitual liar, pathological liar at this point. So I kept a stronger eye on him, even though I was still duped about everything at this point in my life. Dating a bapho. We'll see if I get into that in this video. So yeah, I saw him put his cell phone in the center console. And then he started asking me embarrassing sexual questions immediately after putting it. They're not very slick a lot of times. They're just slimy. And the way that they usually the way that their tricks like this usually work is not because they're overly slick. It's because people are overly trusting of others. And people are gullible and easily duped. That's the truth. People are too trusting, and they know this. They take advantage of this constantly. And they get away with just being nice a lot of times, these people. They try to keep a clean house, and they try to keep an appearance of being nice, but you'll never know what they're like behind closed doors unless you are more observant, if they're wolves in sheep's clothing. So yeah, that was one story. He tried to record me saying embarrassing sexual things. Of course, I knew what he was doing, so I wasn't gonna say anything. It was ridiculous. And this same person, AOL Instant Messenger was still a thing when this story happened, and I got a message from some random person, and then they immediately start asking me these, again, personal and sexual questions. These people are perverts, they're exhibitionists, and yeah, he and his girlfriend were like trying to dig up information. Oh, these people are crazy. But you've probably known people like this before, and I don't even know how I got it out of him that I was like, that it was him and his girlfriend making a fake AIM account to try to get information on me. This is the same guy whose sister was catfishing older men in the 90s and racking up huge bills, long distance bills on other people's phones. It's funny, that's a really common tale, apparently. Okay. Am I ready to get into Festivus? I don't know. I don't think so. This is a story that I've told before, so. So first, I guess I'll talk about kind of college age, like undergrad, because I definitely have two different college age experiences, and they were very different. Undergrad was a little bit nicer on me. Probably because I didn't drink back then. Okay. So, undergrad, I had one really good friend who was a bapho, and yeah, he was nice to me, but again, very compartmentalized relationship. We were close friends, very close friends, would spend a lot of time together, do things, but when we would do that, it would just be us. And then I would see through Facebook and stuff that he had large groups of friends. Why would I never be invited to any of his stuff? And acted differently with them too. And later, this is going to be part of that video that I already mentioned about waking up. Part of waking up is looking at the photos of people in your life and seeing them throw gang signs. It'll shock you. The people who, wow, that innocent, I thought that person was so harmless and innocent, and they seemed so unsure of themselves, low confidence, and fumbling through life. But here I see them like sitting in a room with a bunch of other people and throwing weird gang signs and stuff. It's just an odd feeling waking up. So, yeah, I'm trying to think if there's any particular story about that person. Not really, just that they'll never really treat you like a real friend. You're like a second thought, and it's really easy for the relationships to die. And if you stop contacting them, that'll just be the end of it, pretty much. And if they do contact you again, it'll be to tell you, hey, guess what happened to me? That's how most of my relationships with baphos has ended. That I figured out what they were, so I stopped putting in any effort to the relationship, because it's like, wow, I feel like there's this enormous elephant in the room now. There's a huge amount of baggage. Some of my friends, one of my friends in particular, I even told, I was like, dude, they're all the celebrities are trans. Oh man, that car ride was hilarious, looking back now. But you just stop putting an effort to those relationships and it'll disappear. It'll fizzle out. They'll never contact you. Crazy stuff can happen in your life. They're not going to come and ask you, oh wow, how is it being a parent now? Well, they're not your friend like that. And I dated one of these people. I don't even want to get into that. That's a whole thing. Maybe that'll be its own video. Don't ever get involved with, obviously, knowing now if I knew then what I knew now, I would never go after to go in a relationship with that kind of person. But this reminded me of something that I wanted to talk about, and that was a friendship that I had in high school with a bapho swire. And looking back now, there were so many signs that she would constantly talk about her big shoulders and how they came from water polo. I was like, dude, I don't care. Like, And this is how I ended up in a relationship with one of these people too. Is because I didn't used to think that beauty was everything, and I there were female people that I was friends with, and yeah, I wasn't like super sexually attracted to them, but I was just so confused back then because I didn't know about that stuff. I was confused. I looked at all the female celebrities on the TV and they grossed me out. All the extra the fake nails, the fake boobs, that kind of stuff really grosses me out. The people, everything that on the TV is portrayed as sexy just rubs me the wrong way and I'm grossed out. So, I don't know, I find normal-ish looking females in life. I'm not like super attracted to them. I've talked about it before how I never thought that I was gay, and I knew that I would never like live a gay lifestyle, like have a boyfriend and stuff, but it was the Martins in my high school that I was like, dang, that he has such good skin. I would be like, they're cute and they have really good skin. Remember the rosy red cheeks on. So, but I would never go after that because I just knew I wasn't gay. Now, anyways, that's a whole thing to get into. But just to put it into perspective, there were girls that I would hang out with in high school. Now I know that they were, a different type of girl. And I would crush on them kind of, but I wasn't like drooling over these people. I was so confused before I learned about the skulls and bones things. It was such a huge sigh of relief. Like, oh my goodness. Okay, I understand. But back then it was, I wasn't that into the physical because I didn't know. I didn't know what I was supposed to be looking for. And so if you were a girl and we had fun hanging out together and you weren't horrible looking, okay, I was a teenage boy, sure, I would have a crush, but I never even really crushed that hard. I think that's more of a girl thing to crush. You know the way that these Martins like obsess over the castrati that couldn't care less about them? It's so reversed. Anyways, so to get to the point of the story, I just want to tell about the relationships with these people. They'll drag you along. They love it to be imbalanced. They'll throw you compliments and then shut you down. So I want to say this story and then tell a story that a friend of mine has told me. So really good friends with this Swire girl, and tons of fun hanging out together. Sure, crushing a little bit, but not drooling about them, not like making an altar to this girl in my closet, like, they show on Hey Arnold and all that. I've never felt like that about anybody ever, really, to be honest. And, but I know that she thought that I crushed on her like so hard, which was kind of cringy, but whatever. So anyways, I ended up, I didn't have a girlfriend at the time. She didn't have a boyfriend at the time or anything like that. And I asked her to junior prom seriously as a friend. Like again, very minimal levels of crushing on this person. I was probably crushing on 12 different people at the time. And I really was asking her to junior prom as a friend. And this person had told me before about like these people give such weird mixed messages all the time. She told me that like the Vanessa Carlton, I Would Walk 5,000 Miles song, she's like, oh, that song reminds me of you. And she told me weird stuff before, like, oh, it would be cool if we could get together, but we just can't. They try to be very like mature for their age, but it comes off as very cliche, and their personalities a lot of times begin and end with what they've seen on TV and in movies and stuff. And I'm pretty sure, now my memory's not the best, but I'm pretty sure that all of this had happened before I even asked her to junior prom. So I was like, okay, I wasn't stupid, and I knew at that point, okay, this person has no interest in being my girlfriend. So I had just accepted, hey, we're just cool friends. And I didn't have a problem with that. Okay, so we go to junior prom just as friends. Everything seemed fine until we get there. And she just literally ditched me for the entire night. And pretending like that didn't happen either. Like never mentioned it at all. Never, nothing. And I think to this person, it was like a trophy. Look, I got the I got the boy with that kind of skeleton to ask me to prom. And in her mind, she was like breaking my heart. And that's the cringiest part to me, is that in her mind, she has such an inflated sense of what I thought of her. And really, she was just like a cool person, who I thought was a friend. Somebody who I thought was a friend that I was hanging out with. But in their mind, they had this like, oh, he's so in love with me. I'm breaking his heart. And it's like, no, it wasn't like that at all. So I said that that a friend of mine had a very similar thing to this. He met a girl who, you know, is a certain type of girl, and probably high up. Excuse me. There's been some fires and some bad air in the area. It's not good for my throat. Anyways, so I have a friend who recently, it was quick, recently made friends with this person, and then I know that they're high up because they had a lot of money for a studio and stuff to record music. And so my friend, they became friends really quick, and then everything seemed fine. And she showered him with some out there compliments. It's not often that men receive compliments, so it's weird when people are like showering you with compliments. So she showers my friend with compliments and then just ghosts him for like more than half of a year. And these are the type of mind games that these people will play. And then they'll come back and they'll act like nothing happened. So that was like the same thing with the whole prom date. This person, it was like they wanted to pretend that they didn't just go to prom with me and then just ditch me the entire time. They never brought it up, never... Like, I obviously stopped liking them after that, even as a friend, and I stopped hanging out with them. But they won't bring it up. They'll just pretend it never happened. Okay. So yeah, this happens to other people too. My friend just got ghosted by this person, and then they contacted them back and were just like, oh, sorry, I was just kind of busy for 7 months, and they couldn't like send a text message back or something. Anyways, they will purposefully treat you like dirt if they're in the club and you're not in the club. Who knows? I don't even try to rationalize it. I don't try to figure it out. But that relationship actually reminds me of a pretty quick friendship that I had with another castrati in grad school this time, and we were really good friends, and it was weird. Similar to the large-shouldered person in high school, where, well, this one's even different, because here, I was already dating my wife at this time. I had negative interest in this castrati in a relationship sense. We really were just friends, but people, like, make stupid, insinuating, because you're hanging out, oh, it's a boy hanging out with a girl. Yeah, even though we know now that I was actually hanging out with somebody very similar to me. But anyways, this person we were really good friends, but she was clearly trying to cause drama and cause problems with my wife, my now wife, who was my girlfriend at the time. And so that's just another big indication if these people cause drama. And probably what's even more striking now is that my wife was telling me about things that I didn't get to witness, and that seemed crazy at the time. It was like, why would she be so rude to you? Why would she, my friend, be so rude to you, my now wife? It didn't make sense to me. But now I know, I wouldn't be surprised now. I just wouldn't go make friends with somebody like that now, because they clearly were in the club. She would do a lot of negging. I'll get to that. I have something about negging here. She would neg me a lot of times. Like, I had zero interest in this person whatsoever, but she would make comments to me like, oh, I love men with really nice skin. I have like terrible skin, but men, that is a masculine trait to have bad skin, large pores, acne scarring. I have deep acne scarring. And I mean, these days I think I look fine, but these people, they do attack your body, and in ways like that you might pass it off as like, oh, they're just making a comment. But why do you need to share that with me? They'll just bring it up out of nowhere. And so yeah, that person did a lot of negging and trying to cause rifts in my relationship. And that was the same time as this Festivus thing. So I've talked about this in another video, but it's one way that you can know that you're not one of them. I was at a big party, and it wasn't even like I was just tangentially invited to this party. This was grad school when I had that one castrato friend. I was very close with her, nobody else. And I was I was trying to fit in. I was drinking a lot then to get over my social anxiety, but I could tell I was still not really accepted by anyone except this one friend of mine. And oh man, some people would be so obviously hostile to me to no reason. Have you ever noticed? This is how you'll know that you're an outcast. When people who don't know each other at all become like best friends overnight, and you're not invited to stuff and even treated rude by the same people. So I had an office mate, a new office mate, and he was really nice to my face, but he had this other friend who he became so close with right away. And that other friend was so hostile to me for no reason. We were all part of the same program, but that other guy would just give me, he would mad dog me constantly, his face, and was rude and short with me. And I never even like did anything to him. Just existing is enough to piss these people off sometimes. And that office mate of mine is another good example of these people that they'll be nice to your face and they'll pretend like they want to hang out with you all the time, and they have zero intention. They are liars. They have zero intention of ever being your friend or ever hanging out with you. His girlfriend was like, oh, I go to that town all the time, where we live. Me and my wife ended up moving a couple towns over, and they were like, oh yeah, we'll hang out all the time. They make zero effort. And then you'll see them walking in your town, and they'll like look your way and then pretend they didn't see you and go hide. That's the way that these people are. To your face, they'll say, oh, we should hang out all the time. Oh, you live in that town now? Oh, I go there all the time. We'll totally hang out. Full well knowing that they have no intention of doing that. And if they actually see you, they're going to avoid you. These people are crazy. Festivus, to get to this. Grad school, there was a party. I've told this story, so this is the abridged version. And I was just chilling, trying to hang out at this party, and all of a sudden, people start calling for me. And I was not good friends with the host of this party, and not at all. There was no reason for the spotlight to be shining on me. I get called to the living room, and they want to do the feast, or the... What is it? There's a Festivus thing about where you're supposed to wrestle. Whatever. And I was drunk at the time. I was trying to get acceptance from my peers. I didn't know about the whole bapho thing. And so I had no idea why I would be called. I thought that maybe I was just first in line and that more people were going to be doing this. No, apparently I was the main show. Some random guy who I barely even am friends or know the host. Why do I get called to wrestle with the host who has like 200 pounds of fat on me? And now I know. It's the same reason why my mom bought me a bright orange backpack to go to Europe. And it's this weird thing where, yeah, why the spotlight will get shined on me in some weird humiliation ritual like that, but none of them will want to be my friend or invite me to stuff to hang out. Or so what's up with that? Why can't I be your friend, but I can be a clown for your production? Nowadays, I have the self-confidence. I wouldn't have agreed to that. Not even remotely these days, but I was just thrown into it then. I didn't know what was going on. I don't know if I'll do a video on this or not, the Alon school, but it's intense. Only go start researching this if you know you have a few days to go through it, and if you have the emotional strength to go through this. But this explains so much about bapho culture. It's what this whole event, the Festivus thing, it was a weird hazing ritual. These people learn to do this stuff from certain places. Alon is like a little microcosm of the bigger mind games and hazing and abuse that goes on in the system to these people. But I do have to say that it falls apart at the end. Once you get to the part of the story where he says something about, because of legal reasons, I have to pretend that what I'm saying isn't, just stop reading at that point. You don't have to keep reading. But this is a very interesting. Already talked about negging, double lives. I think I already talked about that. Yeah, that's basically it. Um, I don't even really try to make friends with people these days because I know that they would never treat me like that. They would never view me as an equal. And yeah, all of my relationships from high school and college have just fizzled into nothing because I don't even make any attempt to contact those people anymore. And life is just easier this way without trying to even play their games. But yeah, they're everywhere. Little sleeper cells everywhere. You can't even play a game with 30 people on it and talk about Barbara Bush being a dude without somebody trying to come in and gaslight you or shut you down, censor you. And yeah, it's a big club. God bless everyone.